I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Chisholm.
Here.
Bell Richard.
Here.
Carlson.
Here.
Luce.
Here.
Laura's absent. Rustad.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Okay, do we have a motion for approval of the agenda?
All motion to approve.
Bell Richard made the motion for approval, supported
Second.
by Carlson. Roll call.
Bell Richard.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Rustad.
Aye.
Chisholm.
Aye.
Okay, agenda has been approved. Is there this public comment period? Does anyone like to address the council on something that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the December 4th meeting, includes the claims. Item C is consider C3 commercial design review for Dahlman Pharmacy at 201 West Water Street, it's a sign. Item D is consider C3 commercial design review for Decorah Bank and Trust. That's 202 East Water Street, sign and building facade. Item E is Resolution 2845, setting a public hearing on the proposed amendment to the revitalization plan for the 2014 Decorah Housing Urban Revitalization Area. That will be on January the 2nd. Item F is Resolution 2846, setting a public hearing on the proposal to enter in general obligation corporate purpose loan agreement and to borrow money thereunder the principal amount not to exceed $550,000. This will also be on January 2nd. Item G is Resolution 2850, setting a public hearing at which it is proposed to approve a development agreement with Decorah Auto Center, Inc., including annual appropriation tax increment payments. That will be on January 2nd. Item H is renew Class C beer permit for Nordic Express, including Class B native wine license and Sunday sales privileges. Item I is renew Class C beer permit for Stone Path, including Class B native wine license and Sunday sales privileges. Item J is a change order number 1, Decorah 2017 street and alley improvement of $3,595.59. Item K is partial pay number 2, final Decorah 2017 street and alley improvement of $13,591.23. Item L is Resolution 2851, accepting as complete the 2017 street and alley improvement project. Item M is Resolution 2850, approving the final assessment schedule for the 2017 street and alley improvement project. Item N is Resolution 2844, accepting the 2017 asphalt street maintenance project as complete. And then we have item O, which is partial pay number 2, Highway 9 West Water Street and Sewer Main Improvement Project of $83,905.21. Item P is partial pay number 2, Highway 9 Park Street lighting of $7,035.21. And finally, Q is partial pay number 1, Trout Run Trail project of $47,356.22. Any questions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, Mr. Ristad.
I'll second that.
And it was seconded by Bella Richard. Roll call.
Rustad.
Aye.
Bell Richard.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Chisholm.
Aye.
Okay, consent agenda has been approved. Item 6 is consider Resolution 2847, a resolution acknowledging receipt of application for voluntary annexation and authorizing city to proceed as specified in Chapter 368 of Code of Iowa. And Chad, maybe a little explanation for public here?
So you have two voluntary annexation applications before you under this section. One of them is for the car auto dealership, Decorah Auto, out at Highway 9 and 52 as depicted on the enclosed map. The other one is for T&T Properties LLC, 2700 College Drive. for Tim Kaczynski, that's also outlined on the map. The first one for the auto dealership is to bring that property into the city limits so that it's compliant with the newly established urban renewal district. And the second one is to bring that parcel into the city limits. Water and sewer were extended to that property due to private service failure sometime late last summer.
Just to be clear, that purple line, is that the current border?
That'd be the current corporate limits.
Okay.
It's a little hard to see on this version here, but yes, that's what the purple represents, is corporate limits. So in the case of the 2700 College Drive, it's that one property on this map that's really actually parallel to the word College Drive. That's the one property that's not in the city limits today. The other properties north along College Drive are in the city limits up to a point, right?
Sure.
Okay, do we have a motion for
I'd
approval?
move for approval of Resolution 2847.
Okay, motion by Shizzle for approval
Second.
and supported by Bella Richards. Any other questions concerning this resolution? Roll call.
Chisel?
Aye.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Okay, carried. Consider Resolution 2848 approving a vehicle sales agreement for the 1999 Spartan LTI 75-foot aerial ladder fire truck to the city of Farmington, Michigan. And Chad, you've been arranging this. Everything seems to be okay. You got some comments?
Well, yeah. The truck was listed in May at a sale price of $90,000. This company in Farmington seems to be the most interested. We've had, I think as I reported at the last public safety meeting, maybe 10 to 12 different departments with various levels of interest. Of course, the swivel malfunction on there has scared several of them away, but this department doesn't seem to really think that that's a concern. We did negotiate down the final price to $80,000. The truck has been delivered to a third party, EAM Maintenance in Minneapolis, and that's where it sits today. My understanding is the Farmington City Council is considering this same purchase agreement tonight as well. So recommendation is to approve the agreement, sell the truck, and be done.
Is there still a test that's going to be taking place or something like that?
No, the pump test, we did initiate a pump test, and that passed, and it was completed.
Okay.
It did fail the ladder test, again, because of the swivel.
Yep.
And that's all we told them we were going to do.
Okay.
So anything else that's up there, whatever work they're doing on it today, that's on them.
And so with the failed ladder or swivel test, they were still okay with it?
They were still okay with it. That's right.
I would motion to approve 2848 and sell that truck.
Okay, motion by Bella Richards and seconded by Luce. Any other comments? Roll call.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Okay, carried. Long trip to get it done, but it's well done. Consider Resolution 2849 accepting portions of Serenity Court as completed and dedicated to the city as public right-of-way. Maybe just a couple of comments.
So you have a letter of acceptance from City Engineer Erdman and a letter of support there from the developer contractor Steve Munkle, who's also here, recommending acceptance of essentially it's a cul-de-sac bulb with a short extension. There are two pieces of construction work that still need to be done, which basically both of them involve landscaping, backfilling the curbs around the cul-de-sac and some of the undeveloped lots yet, and then sidewalks all the way around. Mr. Munkle has obviously stated that he will complete those when the weather permits or construction allows. Other than that, requesting as-builts for the design and construction of the cul-de-sac would be required. And I think we've had some conversation about obtaining those documents as well. So
Just for clarification, the developer, Mr. Munkel, is going to be putting in the sidewalks? Since
Yes.
we've talked about it so much?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's your understanding as well? All right.
And you put that in writing. There's a letter in your packet.
And then there was some mention in the background information about bonding and maybe not needing to do that. How did that get
Right.
resolved?
So a lot of times when the work's not substantially complete, you would ask for a maintenance bond.
Okay.
If the streets aren't in, their final lift isn't on, curb's not done, maybe hydrants aren't put in, those types of things, you would ask for a maintenance bond to secure that work.
Okay.
These are, I guess in my opinion, landscaping. I mean, that needs to be done to the benefit of landowners. Sidewalks, he knows that's a requirement. You can ask for a maintenance bond. He's explained in his letter why not,
Yep.
with just those minor things left.
Okay.
And the process of the construction not being notified it was going on so that it could be observed, was that a fluke, or was it not aware it needed to be done, or how? Do we need to tighten something to make sure that doesn't happen again, is my point.
Right, yeah, I guess from the developer's perspective, the city and the city engineer had the plans. They hadn't changed since that plat was approved several years ago. So I think the developer assumed that he was using those plans, he was operating under those conditions.
So it was an assumption that was made rather than actually contacting to check if that's...
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
We have support?
I'll move for approval.
Okay, thanks.
I'll move for approval of Resolution 2849.
Okay, a motion by Chisholm for support,
Second.
and second by Bill Richards. Are there any other questions? Roll call?
Chisholm?
Aye.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Carlson? Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Okay, resolution carried. Consider Resolution 2852, a resolution authorizing the submission of application for Iowa Airport Improvement Programs and certifying eligibility requirements as related to the Iowa DOT 5-year plan. So, anything you want to inform us about?
I would just note that this is annual submission is required by the DOT to even be considered for award programs if funds become available. It doesn't obligate the city to these projects as listed on the sheet, but it is required if you intend to apply for funding. Even with the submission, each project has to be applied for and considered individually by the DOT. So there's no guarantees there. But the CIP is required. If projects are funded, as past experience, and I think they'll continue with this arrangement, is that it's 85% state money versus 15% local matching dollars for projects applied for and funded.
I'll move 2852.
Second.
Okay, motion by Lewis, second by Carlson for approval. Again, any concerns? Roll call?
Luce?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Chisholm?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Johnson?
Okay, resolution approved. Consider appointment to the Human Rights Commission of Tiffany Macklin. We have a motion for her approval.
Make a motion for approval of Tiffany Macklin for appointment to the Human Rights Commission.
Okay, Carlson made the motion for approval
Second.
and seconded by Bella Richard. Roll call.
Carlson?
Aye.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Chisholm?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Okay, carried. Down to reports already.
Already. Just a couple of things. Again, an announcement that we need, we do have an opening on the Board of Adjustment. John Moeller has retired off of that board, and actually he was here earlier tonight, and we thank him for his service. I did want to mention in regards to the Board of Adjustment, I think I put their annual report in your Dropbox, maybe even the last council meeting. There was a considerable discussion about some of the applications that they tend to see on a more routine basis, especially those dealing with accessory structures or detached garages or detached structures, from the condition that right now the code provides for a minimum of 12 feet in height as an average mean height. And we've seen, I think, 6 or 7 of those applications, and so in conversation with the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Board of Adjustment, they may recommend that that minimum height be increased to 14 or 16 feet so that we don't see these applications as a matter of routine course. The other is where those accessory structures may be placed on a lot. Right now, the minimum setback is 5 feet, and again, there were 4 or 5 of those applications, and they tend to be more routine in nature. And the thought is, if you're seeing those kinds of applications in a routine setting, maybe it's time to reconsider changes in the code. And so again, in conversation with Board of Adjustment and Planning and Zoning Commission, they will look at some changes there for accessory structure setbacks from 5 feet to something else. And we'll probably go back and look at the data and see what the average is, see if we can come up with something in between. So that's ongoing work there. It's good to look at those on an annual basis like that from time to time and just see if we're seeing recurring applications, it means something could just be changed. Right? The last thing that I want to bring up is that the city did receive notification from FEMA earlier this month that the right and left levees have been accredited. This ends our certification process for those 2 banks of our levee, which I don't know. The city's been working on this project since well before my tenure, probably since '09 or 2010. It's been a long, laborious process. So it's good that those 2 are done. The cut or the diversion channel is still a work in progress. We're still trying to figure out what's going on down there. And I know Lindsay's working with the Army Corps, and it's been a struggle to get information out of the Corps. And of course, the Army Corps of Engineers, they control the operations of our levee system, but FEMA is responsible for the certification and accreditation. Those 2 departments don't work well together. We had a conversation here Saturday at the Legislative Forum with Representative Rod Bloom's staffer about that issue, and his office is aware of that issue, and so they were going to take our plight back to FEMA headquarters as well. So I don't know where we'll get, but anyway, I wanted to congratulate the staff, Lindsay and the mayor, for at least getting those 2 banks accredited. That was a long process. With that, I'm usually not long on words, but Mayor, Gary, it's been a pleasure working with you. Thank you for your support over the years and your leadership. That's all I have.
Departments.
Just with the completion of this year's Park Street and Short Street work, we will be asking you at the next meeting to begin the process to start the 2nd phase of that for next year. Because that phase may include assessments, it takes a little longer to go through that, and Rick's good enough to provide a schedule for us to set that up. It takes about 3 months to get through our first resolution until we have bids, and so that means for a spring letting, we'd like to begin the process at the upcoming meeting. And so you will see that the first resolution just initiates the project and tells Rex me to get started and in this case keep going, because we've already been doing some of the work with this, but it's the process of the assessments, the ones that you actually formally approved tonight for the alleys, similar style project process, and then next year we'll also have an alley project like that. So for our calendar basis, we'd like to start that next time. And I would echo Chad's words too. Thank you much to the mayor and to Gary, especially for all the street work that you've helped with in all over the years, many projects from Water Street on up, and thank you for that, and we'll miss you. You can always come back and help. Gary said he would.
I would just echo all of that too. It's been a lot of years that I've worked with both of you, and I wish you well in the future.
The water department took the first of 2 bacteria samples today on the new Highway 9 and 52 project. We took the one today. We're going to be taking another one tomorrow. So hopefully by the end of the week, if everything comes back good, that water main will be functional and the new dealership will be taking water off of that main. Right now we're waiting for Alliant Energy to run the service, the electrical service to our lift station. Hopefully they can get that done this week. The lift station is there, all the electrical stuff. We're just waiting for the service. So hopefully by the end of the week, maybe the lift station will be working also. So everything will be completed as far as the water and sewer end of it. I'm sure there's cleanup as far as the seating and the everything else that goes with it. At least it'll be functional as far as that. So, and I have not been here, I mean, as far as in my position for many years, but for the short term I have really enjoyed both the mayor and Gary, and also will miss them. Thank you.
The Decorah Parks Board meets Thursday night, and I guess the main thing on the agenda is hoping to finalize a decision on our toddler water slide at the swimming pool. So it's a budgeted project for this year, and half of which was a donation, and the other half is pool improvement fund or hotel motel money. So, yep. I'll take this opportunity to thank Don and Gary as well.
Thank you. Yes, there isn't any report from the library, right? Okay.
I have nothing to report, but I also want to thank both of you and Don for your company too when we attend the league meetings. It's always interesting to walk and chat as we're going through the cities that we visit. So thank you, gentlemen.
I have nothing, but I would also like to echo everyone's sentiments. Thank you for everything that you've done in the time, and it's impressive that you've done it for so long.
To build off that, I can't imagine the hours that you guys have put in over the years. So please thank your families as well for sharing you with us and the city. And you know, I'm sure you had to have the support of your family to do it for that long as well. And thank you for being kind to me and showing me along when I joined the council. Really helped. And good luck, and appreciate it.
We had a low and moderate income housing commission meeting this week, or last week, and did some requests that will be coming in January to the council regarding how to spend some or appropriate some TIF monies for a couple of different concerns. Also, the commission said they'd actually like to change their name away from low and moderate income to affordable housing. So that's something that would come to see if such a thing could be done. And then there was a perspective of seeking some Iowa Finance Authority workplace housing funding and the possibility of securing those funds to move us towards some more housing in town. So that was the business of that group. And I have to say, Gary and Don, it's been an honor to sit at the table with you and do the city's work.
Thank you. Then I'll call Kurt before Gary talks.
Yes, I would like to do that. Thank you both for all of your years of service. You've done well. Thank you.
Well, this one only takes 35 minutes, so sit back, relax. If you need a drink of water, you better get one. If you would have told me 20 years ago that I'd be sitting here as a council member, I would have thought you were crazy. 20 years later, here I am saying this goodbye for now. I'm sitting in these same old chairs, by the way. Seriously, this one's broke. It's been my privilege and honor to have served the city of Decorah and its residents as a council member. It's also been my honor to serve for the past 12 years as Mayor Pro Tem. When I first got elected, a man I've always respected and admired, Willie Brown, came up to me and said, "You work for me now." At first, I wasn't sure what he meant, but then it dawned on me that he was absolutely correct. As a council member, I think it's very important that you remember that you work for the residents of Decorah and they don't work for you. It's important that you remember that you are elected to serve the voice of the silent majority, and each vote that you cast should at all times have the best interests of the whole city in mind. It's also been my privilege to work with many great city employees from each department and watching them do their jobs. Whether it's the street department, police department, or city hall, just to name a few, I feel we are very lucky to have you working for us. It's also been very great to see Kevin, Todd, and Andy, who I've known for years and have watched with great pride as they have grown into their roles as leaders in their respective departments. As for current council members, I've enjoyed getting to know you, working with you, and watching council members like Andy and Dan, some of our newest ones, grow into their positions and are going to be good future leaders for the city of Decorah. I wish nothing but the best for our new mayor, our new and current council members, and for each and every city employee. So before I start shedding a tear again, please remember what Willie Brown told me. You work for the residents of Decorah, listen to them, respect them, even if you don't agree with them. Thank you, God bless you, and this is my dropping of the mic moment. Come on,
Thanks, Gary. I entitled mine Mayor's Last Comments, but it looked to me like more of a history. So maybe we'll look a little history, maybe about 21 years of it, and I'd like to share some of my comments about the 21 years in city government. In December of 1995, I was appointed to fill the Ward 5 vacancy as Vic 5. Had been appointed and then elected as mayor. Gary Risted and Kurt Johnson were elected that fall. Gary and Kurt helped us survive the Super Walmart and 2 city lawsuits. That's not supposed to be funny. Personally, I want to thank Gary for his 21 years of service and appreciate his dedication and filling in as Mayor Pro Tem. He also deserves a big thank you for organizing a Nordic Fest and holiday parades for many years. I know this was a real passion of his. It has been a pleasure for me to serve with a dedicated city staff and many council members that care about Decorah and its future. My greatest concern as a freshman mayor was our adequate preparation for a disaster. The highest record flood, 2008, provided a learning experience during my first term. Furthermore, the 4th highest flood in Decorah history was last year, and I felt we were much better prepared. We annually review our emergency plan, and with our new county emergency management director, I feel we are having a whole system that we all work together. Some of the memorable projects during my tenure were Water Street improvement, construction of the 5th Avenue Bridge, formation of the Historical Preservation Commission, Human Rights Commission, the Business Park, Bruning and Downing additions contributed to Decorah's expansion and increase in tax base. Other additions were the expansion of the city parks, the Carlson, Venaheim, Pulpit Rock, and camping soccer area, and the bike trails. The Metronet craft beer business and recently the new Marriott Hotel were also added to the city economy. During this past 12 years, I've had the opportunity to meet some distinguished people, including President Obama, governors, including Governor Branstad, now, of course, in another capacity, and King Olaf of Norway. Also, I cannot forget Bob Anderson and the Decorah Eagles. Historically, there were also noted some discoveries during this period of time, including the Decorah meteor crater and the sea scorpion. I can recall some issues that generated considerable public input, such as chickens in town, gardening on the boulevard, the Pledge of Allegiance, and proposed anti-idling ordinance. And as I perused some of my fan mail, I came across this one, which I thought would add a wee bit of levity. And it was written by a noted, well, I'll call him a philosopher, poet, by the name of Wesley Yeomans. It says Decorah, and this says, dedicated to the city council. Chickens cackle in the suburbs, and geese gabble and hiss at City Hall. One neighbor can hear the dogs and roosters of another's neighbor. As recommended by the Tao, in this village where dry run waters the willows. Wesley Yeoman. Hope you appreciate that. Some of you young people don't know Wesley. Many of you do. I wish the new council members and mayor well in the coming years, as this city is in good hands. All the volunteers that serve on boards and commissions have made our city the best in Iowa. Thank you for support during these 21 years, and have a Merry Christmas and prosperous New Year's. So that's my little bit of history, and thank you all for the wishes that you've given me. So I guess I can adjourn the meeting. We have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.